Good morning. I'm Joanne Jobin with VID Media, and welcome to the Dryden Gold Town Hall Forum. I'm delighted to welcome longtime friend and collaborator, CEO Trey Wasser, whom many of you will remember from Ely Gold Royalties. And also joining us today is Dryden Gold President, Maura Kolb. Trey and Maura will take you through the company's recent IPO listing on the TSXV. Trading commences tomorrow, Wednesday, under the ticker DRY. The team will also discuss the key catalysts for the company this year. Now, before we get started, I do want to remind you that if you have any questions for the company, please place them into the Q&A tab located near your chat sections at the top. We will answer as many questions as we can at the end of the presentation. And now I'd like to turn it over to Trey and Maura. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Joanne. It's always a pleasure to have you introduce us on these VID town halls. Really enjoyed doing the town halls. Did quite a few at Ely Gold Royalties, and really felt like it was a really good opportunity to update shareholders, to entice new shareholders. And so introducing Dryden Gold today as a public company for the first time. We've been private for about the last 2 years, consolidating a large land package in Northwest Ontario. So we're going to get right into the presentation here. I'm here with Maura, who is not just our president, but also heads up our geological team. And so we'll just slide right into those forward-looking statements that we clearly are going to make. And if I make any geological statements that are either forward or backward-looking, Maura will be right here to correct me. So we'll talk a little bit about why Ely Gold and about us. You know, we've got a very experienced management team we put together. Both are said on the technical side, and our board of directors, our CFO and myself, of course, have experience buying or building and shareholder value and selling companies, but also on the board. We have Christina McCarthy, who just recently sold a company to I-80 Gold, and Darren Wagner is an advisor who just recently sold Balmoral. So we have put together a very strategic land position in the Dryden district. Now, this is an underexplored district that has just been, the claims have been fragmented for many years. And so it has never seen a lot of exploration across our property, and it has not seen any exploration at depth or mining at depth. So it has had some focused exploration, given it's a brownfields opportunity in the Gold Rock camp where we are currently focusing. The geological setting is very similar to Great Bear, Red Lake, and Timmins. And the camp has very excellent infrastructure. Highway goes from Dryden right down to our property. The Trans-Canada Highway runs right across the northern part of the property. So we're very happy to have successfully got our listing done on December 28th. We'll be trading tomorrow, on Wednesday, the 10th, under the symbol DRY. Concurrent with that RTO amalgamation, we raised $3.69 million hard dollars and $1.4 million in charity flow through. So we're going to see some excellent, have the opportunity to do quite a bit of work this year. We had lead investments from Ron McEwen, Eric Sprott, Europac Gold Fund, and our largest shareholder is Alamos Gold, who is actually the vendor of the property that we're purchasing. We kind of went over this, but I'll just add, on the management side, we also have Anna Hicken, who is our VP of Exploration and worked at Red Lake for many years with Maura. Also, Jason Jessup, I'd like to mention, who currently is the CEO of Magna Mining. And Scott Kelly is our CFO. Scott and I work together at Ely Gold Royalties. So I'm going to quickly run through the share capital. With our current RTO raise and amalgamation, we now have 82,845 shares outstanding, and warrants that most of those warrants came from the amalgamation, so they would be at 30 cents. We've got to about 5 million in cash, and we, as I mentioned, we also have in our major shareholders, Delbrook Capital, which is a fund. They actually provided the charity flow through for us. So with that, we're going to move in. I'm going to hand it over to Maura to talk about the property, the setting, our relationship with the First Nations, and why she came on board, and where she sees the opportunity for to make everybody money.
Thanks, Trey. So first, we'll start off with where we're located. We're in a fantastic neighborhood. You can see us in that circle there. We're just about 2 hours south drive of Red Lake. We're close to Rainy River Mine, which is just to the southwest, and Hammond Reef just below us to the south. And it's a real opportunity because this camp hasn't seen as much exploration, but has a very similar setting geologically to these other greenstone belts, these Archean high-grade gold deposits. So we're really excited about that. As I said, it hasn't seen, and Trey said it as well, it hasn't seen as much exploration. Historically, this area has really been a forestry town. So it's had little bits and pieces of exploration, very piecemeal. And we see a big opportunity with the combined land package that we have now, being able to look at this holistically and make a new discovery. So let's zoom in on our property a little bit closer now so you can really see the players and the land package. We strategically picked up this land package, and you can see the cross-hatched structure that runs from the northeast down to the southwest. That's the Manitou-Dinorwic shear zone, and that's a really key structure for us. We've picked up the ground strategically along that, everything that you can stake, because we feel that it's similar to the Dester-Porcupine Fault in Timmins, and you need to be within a few kilometers of that to really be close to the high-grade opportunities. We have a huge land package, 480 square kilometers, so the biggest in this Dryden district. We've got some great neighbors, Kinross, Treasury Metals to the north, Ashley Gold did a drill program this summer, and then Dynasty Gold has had good results coming out all last year. As I mentioned before, limited exploration. There's about 30,000 meters on the entire property, and that's really focused in two places where there was historic mining. We're going to be focusing, as Trey said, in the brownfields opportunity we call the Gold Rock Camp. That's kind of in the center part of our land package, and that's had about 2/3 of the drilling there. So it really gives us that brownfield opportunity where we have some information already, and we can better understand that deposit and potentially define a nice resource. So I want to show you the entire property again, and we've got this color-coded. The blue is the Tremblay property, part of the initial option agreement, and then everything south of that is part of the Manitou option agreement. And what I really like on this slide is that we have high-grade intercepts, either from drilling or surface samples, on the entire property from top to bottom. So there's really a lot of smoke here, and that's what got us excited. This has been worked piecemeal by lots of other people, and it really hasn't had that holistic approach to really, I think, unlock the opportunity here. So we're going to be focusing in on the Gold Rock Camp, and that was in the central core of our property. And this is a zoom in looking right at where most of the historic mines were. This is about 70% of the historic mining in the district happened just here. And we've been drilling and exploring here, and this is where our focus area will be. The mines here were at about the turn of the century, so pretty old mines. It's really neat to go out in the bush and see the old stone buildings and some of the laydowns for the equipment, different pieces of history that you're walking right through. Very cool. Like I said before, the mining has been shallow. So the deepest mine went to 140 meters, and that's the Laurentian mine there at the north end. And all the other ones were shallower than that. we really see here the hash, the little lines there are the faults, and you can see that main Manitou-Dinorwic structure is going to the northeast to the southwest, and then the other ones are coming in more east-west. And where those intersect, you see some of the mines. So it's really starting to support our theory. The richest mine on this property was the Laurentian mine, and it had an average grade of about 0.4 ounces per ton. So we know that there's some good grade material here, and we're really excited to define more of it. Trey?
Yeah, needless to say, this is my favorite slide. And this isn't a typo. That's that core there is 3,497 grams over 8.45 meters. And included in that is the vein over 0.55 meters, 53,700 grams per ton. What Manitou Gold did, and I'm not sure I mentioned it, but Manitou Gold is who we auctioned the property from and who did a lot of the historic work. They were bought out by Alamos early last year. So that's why Alamos is now in the Manitou position there with our property package. But what this slide showed us is they came in and tried to twin that hole that had the high grade. And while they hit some significant high grade in the vein, you can see one of them there is 316 grams over 0.7 meters. But more importantly, it showed that there's a halo that surrounds this vein, which runs a half a meter to a meter in width, and but with about an 8 to 10 meter halo that runs about 1.5 grams to 2 grams. This is at surface, so this intercept came at just 75 meters below surface. And you can see as we get in later, there'll be a slide that shows up where the BM2, where it looks like there's a pit here. That's from some pilot mining that they did above this vein structure after they had this drilling done. So very exciting to see this kind of grade. I mean, it's the best. It's some of the best I've ever seen, and we're very excited to be doing more drilling in this area. And this is really where the brownfield opportunity is here. Let's switch back to Maura for this. It's getting into geology and
you'll get in trouble.
Over my head.
So now we're looking down on the vein structures. It's an inclined section here so that you can see them. You can see all the drill holes there and the pierce points, and all the assays over 1 gram are highlighted here. You can see there's really nice continuity on the vein structures themselves, and we were able to put together this vein model pretty quickly and easily. The Elora vein has a kilometer strike there, and then the Big Masters, it's goes off the page, but it's 1.5 kilometers for the Big Master 1 strike. So we're pretty excited about what we've been able to trace on surface through the drilling and the surface sampling. And this is why we feel it's a brownfield opportunity. There's a fair amount of drilling that was done by Manitou, mainly on the Big Master 1 and 2. And then previous to that, on the Elora vein, Tech Resources and St. Joe did some work there. So we feel like we have a lot of data that now we can start to analyze the previous data, do our own drill holes, and really understand what the high-grade shoots are controlled by, and then be able to go after more of them. So let me back up a little bit and tell you more about the geologic setting. And as Trey mentioned, I was going to tell you why I joined the team. I worked in Red Lake for quite a long time, 8 or so years at the Red Lake mine, and then regionally. And I couldn't help but notice the similarities in the geometry between the Red Lake mine and our Gold Rock Camp area. It almost just looks like it's flipped to the side. When you look at the faults, they're very similar, cross-cutting, coming in and hitting that main structure. That creates great traps for high-grade gold. And then the fold geometry is also very similar. So to me, there was huge opportunity for high-grade shoots and high-grade mineralization in this Gold Rock camp, and I couldn't pass it up. I like that kind of challenge of figuring out these complex systems and then finding high grades. So I had to say yes when Trey phoned me up and joined the team. I think there's a lot of opportunity to be had. On this slide, I'm going to kind of compare to further afield deposits. So we mentioned that the mining here at Gold Rock Camp was quite shallow. You can see it there in the center in gold. It's only about 140 meters, the deepest mine. Now, similar deposits to that, like Rice Lake, Red Lake, Timmins, and Kirkland Lake are all much deeper, 1 or 2 kilometers deep. Those mines were mined too, still are. So we think there's big opportunity for gold rock at depth as well. And then another comparison that's been made, not just by us, but Metal Earth has been working on this and has published a few papers comparing Dryden to Timmins and looking at that Porcupine-Duster fault in comparison to the Manitou-Dinorwic fault. So that's our thesis, that we believe you have to be, within a kilometer or 2 of that Manitou-Dinorwic shear zone to really have the opportunity for high-grade deposits. And it's great to see someone else also making that comparison of that being a similar structure to the Porcupine-Duster fault. So our drill testing will prove it or not, but we're pretty excited about this thesis. Now, this is a geologic map of the area, and I like to point out the last couple slides we looked at that main shear zone, so that's going from the northeast down to the southwest, and then these secondary structures that are coming in on the more east-west orientation. So I've kind of outlined them there in black. This is the gold rock camp as a whole, and we've got 20-kilometer strike length on that main Manitou-Dinorwic shear zone structure with these cross-cutting faults coming in. You'll also notice that the folding shows up really nicely here between the yellows and the green rocks. You can really see that folding in what I was talking about before with traps similar to what you see at Red Lake. So we think there's a lot of opportunity in this gold rock camp. Again, 75% of the historic mining came out of here, and a lot of opportunity, we believe. Now, this is of the same area, but now we're looking at the geophysics. So this is airborne magnetics, lots of busy colors, but the really exciting part about this is we've partnered with Mirror Geoscience, and they can basically do magic with the geophysics. So we've worked with them and created a geologic model, and then we'll refine it as we have anomalies that we can't make sense of. And we do this 3 or 4 times until we get a really good geologic model that we're happy with. The leftover geophysical anomalies we contribute to mineralization, like sulfide mineralization, or alteration systems. So on the map, you see all the red lines. Those are anomalies, and some of them are showing up right over top of the known deposits. So that's a good sign. This summer, after we did this work, we were able to actually go out and walk up to some of the areas that we have these anomalies. So we went to the north and we started to see alteration and mineralization. So I think it's starting to show that this thesis is really working. And we have an awful lot of targets just on the Gold Rock Camp area to go after that are nice step outs. So a lot of opportunity here. We see quite a few of those targets on the northeast southwest trend, but there's also some on those east-west structures. And we're really excited to see that. The one on the south end, that is the same structure that Dynasty Gold's deposit is on over to the east. So pretty exciting and really showing a lot of opportunity for us here at Dryden Gold. Now, Trey mentioned this slide a little bit earlier when we were looking at the cross-section and the very high-grade intercept. So that main picture there, we're kind of standing on top of the historic mining and looking at the vein. And you can see like the vein has nice continuity, very, very good alteration halo on either side. The bulk mining samples that Manitou did, great for us as well. It showed that this is very clean, free gold, 88.6% recovery just with gravity. And then with cyanide addition, you get to 99.4. So that's great. That gives us good metallurgical information to start off with. And then from the bulk sample, they got 5.5 gram average grade. And that matches nicely to what was historically reported for the Big Master. So we're really pleased with these results and we'll be testing this area and I've already started, which I'll get into now. So you remember this geologic map from before, we looked at this, and in the red circle area is kind of our main area of focus where we've seen historic mining and historic drilling. So that's 1.5 kilometers, the strike of the Big Master 1 vein there in the small map, or the zoomed out map. And then the other side is a zoom in on our area of interest. So we can get a closer look at what we're drilling and what we're targeting. The holes in black have already been drilled. We started to drill, we're a little bit ballsy. We started to drill right after our raise from Beaver Creek in November. We felt it was really important to start testing this, and we had the opportunity with slower season for drilling to be able to do our drill program in phases. So we've drilled in November, a little bit in December, a little bit in January, and we'll drill a little bit more in February. And this gives us the opportunity to analyze what we've seen in the drill core and start to get results and apply them to each phase. So we're going to do about 3,000 meters, and we'll be able to do this like very methodically, which is a great opportunity you usually don't get as a junior. We've drill tested so far the Big Master 1 strike extent. So up to the north on the Big Master 1, it was really only surface sampling before. And actually, I'm going to go to the next slide and zoom in. There, that's a zoom in, looks the same view, but just zoomed in closer on the vein so you can see it a little bit better. So the first holes we did were on that Big Master 1 vein, heading up to the north, where it had only been surface samples, so lots of chip samples and outcrops mapped, but it hadn't been drill tested. So we've done about 5 holes there. And then we came back in December and started targeting the area in the yellow circle. That's where most of the historic drilling was. And that's where that high grade intercept and the bulk mining were. So we decided to test that and try to understand the plunge a little bit better. We used the mapping. We've used the intersection of the cross-cutting fault structures and the plunge of the fold to hypothesize a very steep plunge of the high-grade mineralization. So as you can see on the other side there, that is a conceptual image of the vein where most of the historic drilling has happened. The yellow squares are the drill holes that we've just drilled in December. And all the circles are historic drill holes from Manitou. The bright pink are over 10 grams per ton in the vein. So the vein size is 0.3 to about a meter in width. So we've simplified this image down so that it's just vein width and it'll range between those sizes. And then the grade that the vein ran. So very simple, but just to give you an idea of where things are and how much high grade is here. The red circles are between 5 and 10 grams in that vein structure. And then the blue is under 5 grams. So you start to see that picture come together, and we believe there's a high grade shoot here. So we've drill tested that, and we're very excited to see what comes out of those. The drilling we're starting just now this week is going to be focused on testing the Elora vein. And the Elora vein is the same one we mentioned earlier with the Laurentian mine having the highest grade of 0.4 ounces per ton. It had the highest production, 20,000 tons. So it's the biggest mine. It was the one that went the deepest to 140 meters as well. So that's up by the D2 on the Elora vein. That's where that's located. And we're going to be testing the south end of that. Tech in the 90s drilled in that yellow circle, and there's some really nice results, quite a few over 10 grams. So we'll be starting up there and drill testing that and doing some step outs on that vein. And then we'll go back in, and there's another high grade intercept at the south end of the Big Master veins series that we'll be testing. It was 1,000 grams over half a meter. So we'll be going in there and drill testing that as well to see if we can do have another high grade shoot forming on the Big Master structure. Just going to jump back for a second because I missed something on this slide. Looking at the plan map again and the drill holes. The other targets that we have are down to the south under that D1, and they're in pink dotted lines. That's where the Selby mine was. Not a lot of work happened there, but there are some nice surface samples, and it has not been drill tested. So we are going to step out and drill down there as well. That's one of our targets.
Let me jump in here just a second more, and maybe kind of give my non-geological interpretation of this. But just to point out, two of the things we're trying to do here, and while we're very lucky that this is shallow drilling, so we're able to get a lot of drilling done without spending a lot of money on super deep holes. Although we do intend to test it deeper. Maura and Anna want to figure out that structure and plunge and everything to follow this high grade at depth. But the strike length here is just really an incredible opportunity for us. She mentioned the Elora vein. It had along that vein to the north has two historic mines, the Laurentian and the Elora mine. Both those and most of that yellow where the Tech did the most, all the historic drilling on that vein. That's stepping off of our patented ground. So the reason we're not putting holes in that right away is because we are applying for permits there. But as you can see here, we think we've got a brownfield opportunity and a potential resource just on that big master vein within that 1 kilometer. But we've got 20 kilometers of strike here, and so this thing could get very, very large, and we're excited to get in there and test that Elora vein all the way. And what they're looking at south, where again, as she mentioned, is a historic mine, makes this thing very exciting. And I don't know that Maura stressed it enough, but in the bulk sample that Manitou did, that metallurgy was just fantastic. 86% of the gold in this came out from gravity. And once they put cyanide to it, it was over 99%. So, here's what we have here is high-grade gold at surface and shallow along a 20-kilometer strike length potential with great metallurgy. So you really couldn't ask for a better combination here, to build a resource quickly.
And Trey touched on permitting. So we have started drilling. We've gone about this program and our exploration in a very methodical manner, but we've also been working with the local communities, talking about what our plans are. Even though we didn't need a permit to begin this work, we've acted as if we did. So we're already in discussions with the local groups, talking to them about what we're doing. We've had one of the communities out to site to see our drill setup and our drill program. So, we're going about this in the right manner, and I believe it will be no problem to continue to work with the communities to get drill permits for the areas outside of the patents.
Well, I guess I'm glad we went back, but I could have summed it up anyway. Look, the investment thesis for Dryden Gold is we think very exciting. We have a large land package that's never been consolidated before. Something I learned at Ely Gold is to really make a property valuable, you have to consolidate it. We have an underexplored area with excellent infrastructure and similarities to some of the most prolific camps in Northwest Ontario. We've got an experienced management team, both in building shareholder value and an excellent technical team with a great background in this structural setting. So bottom line is we've got a property that, as I said, has high-grade gold at surface in mineable widths with great metallurgy. We've put a land package together, and Maura is building an excellent exploration program that really fits for a mid-tier to even major gold producer to come in on this thing. And that's where we intend to build the shareholder value, is building this up and having a larger company come in and take this over. So it's, we think a great opportunity. It's a great entry point here. We did our RTO round financing at about a $13 million market cap. And so if you apply, any metric to this, it's the land package we put together. It's a very undervalued opportunity. We've got a great set of shareholders, which also speaks to the management team and the property package that, a lot of the high valued names, people that are respected in the industry, have invested into Dryden Gold. So with that, I'll get Joanne to come back, and we can enter into some Q&A.
Thank you, Trey. That was amazing. Great update. I'm sure all of your shareholders will be very, very excited and happy to hear about what's going on at Dryden Gold. So now we'll start with some of the first questions. I'm going to try to group them into subject matter. So I think let's start with the geological questions. Let me see here. Published. Okay, here we go. So one of the questions that we're getting, I got a few of these actually, is how deep will the deepest hole be at Gold Rock?
Most of the drilling is around 100 meters. We're still kind of deciding how deep we want to go. It'll really be on follow-up from these holes if we see mineralization at depth. Those deeper holes were at about 140 to 150 meters deep. And I also saw a question about the strike length, and I'm sorry, I apologize. I was confusing on that. The big master vein is 1.5 kilometers. On the previous slide that shows more of Gold Rock, our patents run 7 kilometers. And so I believe that is about 5. Like you were correct there. The whole strike is about 5. The pink I never talked about, so we'll just quickly touch on that. So just below the D1, that is the area we call Selby. We're hoping to test that in February. It really depends. We might get too excited on other things and not get to that, but that's a step out. So that whole strike is around 5 on that particular slide. And those are bigger step outs past the known mineralization. Those yellow circles are really where the historic drilling is concentrated and where the most information is. So hopefully that explains the scale a little bit better. Sorry about that confusion.
Hey, Maura, one other thing to give it a little bit more context. On the big master vein, the yellow dotted area where most of the historic drilling is. Can you give an idea of how many kilometers that is, or meters?
That's about 750 meters length, because it's nearly half of the big master strike. It really starts to be wider space to the south, just past there, and to the north we were able to trace the vein on surface, and so those additional drill holes to the north are kind of first drill holes in the area. Mm-hmm. It's previously chip samples that we were able to or rock samples from surface that we were able to continue those vein models from.
I might point out too on this too, just looking at the potential here, is that while most of the historic mining was done bunched right up there in that around the Big Master and the El Oro, down where she has those pink dots with the planned drill holes, there was a historic mine there called Selby, and again, she pointed out that the Laurentian mine up there where D2 is on this map, in the El Oro vein, we'd like to be able to explore it more, so we're applying for permits. But the reason we're not doing that right now is that these uppermost blue holes on this planned drill holes pretty much go to the north end of the patents there. They kind of jog over and cut off. So we'll have to get permits to be able to drill out that whole lower vein. But we're very excited about that because of the high grade hits that we see from Tech in the yellow there. And we're going to do the follow up to the south. But we feel like this vein could be something, again, the El Oro vein, the Laurentian mine, excuse me, at the north end of this structure here, produce more ore than any of the other mines in the district at a 0.41 ounces a ton. So a lot of potential right in here and for extension in this vein.
I think Trey's just saying that we're very excited about the potential on that El Oro vein. So we're pretty keen to start drilling there right away.
Okay. All right. So as we're on the subject of historic drilling and sites and mines, I've got a great question here from my good friend Terrence Portzlin. He's asking about your geomodels and underground access at some of the old workings or surface work done or that needs to be done. Can you comment on that?
Certainly. So we've been trying to piece together the historic mapping and put that in 3D. We have, I would say, a pretty strong database together so far from the Manitou drilling and the tech drilling, decent records. And so we've been putting that all into the same database so that we can use it. And that's what our geologic model is based off of. And then we spent a lot of time this summer ground truthing where holes were, where the vein outcrops on surface. But there's certainly still more work to do. We've already got snow on the ground here now, so we'll get back to it in the spring and continue to ground truth that. But this terrain is quite, there's quite a bit of tree coverage and that sort of thing. So this summer was kind of forest through the trees sort of thing, trying to bushwhack and find things. And as we got into fall, we actually found some of the old mine buildings for Elora, and that now that we know where those are, we can do more exploring there. It's pretty fun walking back in history. There's big concrete pads and old stone buildings in this area, so you really feel like you're in a ghost town of this gold rock area. It's kind of neat.
Very cool. Very cool. And then a little bit more on the drilling. How many drills, how many holes, how many meters this year? And when you finish that question, when can we expect drill results for the most recent program?
Certainly. So right now we're planning one drill. We've done, because it's a slow season for most, we've actually been able to negotiate a really nice deal with our drilling company, Dryden Drilling. We did a short, about 2-week phase in November, took a pause, started to analyze what we saw and what that might mean. Then we did another blitz about a week and a half, 2 weeks in December. We're about to do the same here in January for about a week and a half to 2 weeks. And we expect this program from 2023 to 2024, this first one, to be about 3,000 meters. And we're about halfway through that right now. So we expect that over January and February. We held results during the go public, so we'll start to see them trickling. And I've seen emails come in. I haven't analyzed them yet, mind you, but as soon as we start to make sense of that, we'll get press releases coming out with what that means. And we have the same with some of the fieldwork from the summer. So you can expect news flow to start coming out very soon with things that we're seeing and what that means. Beyond that, it will be a little bit result dependent what we do next and if we have a bigger drill program into the rest of the year.
Fantastic. Let's go over to the IPO and questions about the new shares, the new trading. So we have a question here in regards to what were the price for the shares acquired pre-listing?
If you can hear me all right.
Yes.
We did 3 or 4 private rounds. I tell you, there's not a lot of founder stock, only about $250,000 worth of founder stock, most of it at 5 cents. The bulk of the private placement stock for us was done at 10 cents. That's pretty much where Eric got in. We did do one round when the market was better in mid-2022 at 25 cents. So we did, when we went public, the orders that came in, it was pretty much Rob McEwen was the lead order. He didn't want to see too big a step up, so we ended up with the 15-cent pricing on that, which puts us at on an undiluted basis about a $12 to $13 million market cap, which we think for the package we put together here is still very, very reasonable. But the answer to the question of that's how we got to 82 million shares so quickly, and that this market really it was just really a tough market to be raising money in. And so we were lucky that we were able to raise privately through Beaver Creek about $1.5 million to start the drill program, and then had the successful RTO financing for $5 million. But Delbrook, McEwen, and Europac all got into this 15-cent public round. And Alamos, the shares they have today, they were actually priced at 25 cents.
Okay, excellent. Adrian Day is asking from sunny Puerto Rico, Talk about your balance sheet and your budget for the coming year, so G&A, exploration, etc.
All right. Yeah, we once everything's cleared out here with the RTO financing and the finder's fees and everything paid up, we're going to have about 4.3 million cash in the bank. Out of that, and what we're looking at is 1.4 million was done in flow through, so we know we'll at least expend that much into the ground this year. We do have a payment coming up to Alamos, $1 million of which is cash in April. So we're going to put that money aside for that, and G&A we will keep pretty low. We have a smaller staff. This is not a lifestyle kind of company. I'm deferring all of my income for at least 18 months, and so we think that our G&A will be quite low, and we think we've put together, for the most part, all of the property we really need. I think the balance of the property that we want to add on here will be maybe in a few shares and through staking.
Excellent. Let's talk a little bit about pre-IPO. Did you find that the commodity price, i.e. the price of gold as it was ramping up or has been ramping up, did it affect you positively, or was it just tough to raise money like it is for a lot of the juniors out there right now? Maybe talk a little bit about that, Trey.
Well, the market, last year, late 22, we're actually more than last year now, year before last, in 2022, late, we kind of were saying, geez, the market can't get any worse. And somebody said, Trey, the market can always get worse. And certainly 2023 was a very challenging year for mining stocks, especially in the precious metals. Some of your battery metals had better runs and stuff, but the problem has been here is it's not so much the price of the commodity, because gold's trading, has been trading for most of last year up in that $2,000 range. But the stocks are just very, very undervalued compared to the metal. And, that's true from the major stocks, Newmont trading at half of its 2022 high when gold has moved up $300 or $400 since then. So a very tough market, but we think we're seeing light at the end of the tunnel at this point, and starting to see more interest in the gold and gold stocks. And we think 2024 is going to be a much better year.
Excellent. Thanks, Trey. Speaking of the IPO and the capital structure, how important is that capital structure for a new company like Dryden?
Well, it's always important, and we're kind of we obviously have a lot of shares outstanding, more than we would hope at this point. But we also think we have a project that with a couple $1 million at least put into the ground this year, we're going to be able to get a lot of drilling done, and we can always look at some other alternatives for raising money in this market other than more share dilution. But you have to be cognizant of your share structure, and so raising more money for us will be a very strategic process. And the good news is we're going to have excellent news flow. We've got these holes to come out that have already been drilled or in the assay lab. We'll be drilling about that many more holes. We also have the results from our summer geochem program and some interesting new targets and properties that came out of that. Those results have been being worked over by Mira Geosciences and to come up with some targeting and some geophysics on that. But so we will have a lot of good news, we think, coming out throughout the springtime here, and hopefully that'll reflect in a higher stock price if we and to be able to raise more money to really expand the drilling program.
Excellent. So let's talk about the catalysts. what catalysts are you most excited for in 2023? And I would expect that to tie into some growth in some way, shape, or form, or 2024, I should say. I got to remember, we've got a new number on the end there.
Year now. I think the drill program results are a big catalyst for us. This IPO was a huge one that we've, I think, traded all the heavy lifting there while I was busy with Anna working on the drill program. So getting through that is big. And then to keep the news coming and keep things exciting. We're really excited to see the results from the high grade shoot drilling and this upcoming program too. So prove that there's something here, something worth continuing to explore.
Excellent.
Yeah, we think the other thing too, but point out is that historic drilling here that was done, a lot of that core we have found out in the field. So we're going to bringing that in here when things are frozen up and evaluating that a bit more. That core wasn't fully assayed by Manitou. It'll also give us a backbone for more geological interpretation. But the key here is that we're working around about 1 kilometer of known strike, and within that, and just on the big master veins, we think we're seeing a significant high grade potential resource there. And then the LR vein is really not included in any of that, and it could be just as exciting. So as we drill and expand here on the strike length, and start proving that we can find high grade gold, not just in the known areas, but in new areas, I think that's where this thing really starts to grow and be exciting.
Okay. Excellent. Maura, we're getting a lot of this question. I don't publish everything because a lot of times the questions are the same or in the same vein. So we're getting a lot of questions regarding your experience at Red Lake and how this translates into the success at Dryden. So maybe you can comment a little bit on that. Oh, and before you get on to that, Trey, I would like to commend you for putting the exploration team and putting a president, putting 2 women, like a woman-led exploration company is just kudos to you, my friend. That is fantastic for our industry, and it gives super talented people like Maura a chance to really shine. So kudos to you, Trey. Go ahead.
Maura. I won't say my normal comment on that, but
go ahead.
When we put this company together, Darren and I talked about it, said, we wanted to put young geologists, fresh young minds on this project. And, we knew we need, and ideally with experience in this geology and a structural geologist, that something, this camp has never seen. So it just ended up, as we started looking for smart young geologists, most of them ended up being women.
Go figure.
It's a good segue into my background in Red Lake. I was there shortly after my son was born, got the opportunity to run the exploration team. And I similarly found some really smart young people to work with me. We all had a shot at this very challenging deposit there. Had to really get disciplined. So I worked under Paul Harbridge. He was from Rheingold and was the VP of exploration at Gold Corp at the time when I became exploration manager. And it really taught us that you need to have a systematic approach. You have to have a lot of discipline. You need to do it right. And it's really all about the geology and getting that right first. You can be lucky for so long, but if you are giving yourself a better shot to be lucky, you have more chances at it. So it's really about that. And then knowing when to stop when something's not working, not beating a dead horse. So all of those lessons were great to have there at a big company and have that oversight. So, Anna and I were lucky to work together there. And then she went on to do lots of other things and work in the capital market space a bit. And I continued in Archean Gold beating that dead horse that I love. No, not beating the dead horse, but finding more deposits and really unlocking value. We were able to bring down the discovery price at Red Lake from $200 to $50 in that tenure with that team. Maybe some of them are on this call, but it is an excellent group of people that I worked with there. So you start to learn what real talent looks like and how to find it and work with it. And I've got another great group of people that I'm working with here on Dryden Gold. So
fantastic. And Maura, while you're on, you've got a massive land package, and like, what is your strategy for this? And do you see more acquisitions in the future? I mean, you've got a lot to handle right now. What are you looking at? What are you thinking?
First, it'll be really important to follow that. Just go back to the map. Actually, this one. Oh, Trey must be moving the slides too. Sorry, this is what I want. So as you can see, we picked up quite a bit along that Manitou-Dinorwic shear zone. So really we'll be focused on strategic pieces that we believe will host high grade. And that's kind of for the land acquisition. We have most of what we want now. There may be a few other key pieces you'll see come into the fold in the near future. And we'll always keep watching the other players around here. It's very important to keep that structure in place that I just talked about when talking about my Gold Corp days. So what we'll be doing is putting a resource pipeline together, ranking all the targets, and on all things like geologically, we'll be looking at how favorable they are from a logistics perspective, from a community perspective. We need a social license to be able to explore, and it makes a big difference being local. I actually live in Dryden, so I'm able to talk to people in town all the time, kind of see what people don't want to see here, what they do want to see here. And it's a pretty favorable mining community. A lot of people in Dryden either, work in Red Lake or work in Rainy River in the mining, and they would love to see mining come home and be able to sleep in their beds at night. So I think that gives us a big opportunity, but we'll look at the targets from all perspectives and then rank and rate them. We want to continue to focus on our best target, but be growing the pipeline so that you can really see a future here, a camp here, something that a major would probably want in their portfolio.
Excellent. And are you only focused on gold, or are you open to other minerals that you're coming across? Critical metals, of course, is one of the big ones. What are you seeing as you're drilling, I guess, is the question.
We're really focused on gold mineralization and, of course, the precious metals that go along with that. So we'll be assaying for silver. We'll be looking at what other anomalous metals come with this. And we really want to look for gold that's clean, I say, like that metallurgical slide that we talked about earlier, where it's mostly free gold, very easy to mill. But we'll certainly pay attention to everything else that's around us. There are, in this Dryden district, several lithium plays, but really we're going to focus on gold mineralization. That's our bread and butter. That's really what we're after.
Okay, great. And Trey, I'm going to swing it back to you before we close down the town hall. Lots of questions on the warrants. Who owns the warrants and what were they priced at? When do they expire, et cetera, et cetera? Can you talk about that a little bit?
The warrants that were issued from the RTO are all 2-year warrants at 30 cents. And when we did the RTO, we did a total of what was just over 33 million with the RTO shares and the flow through shares with the warrant on them. So those all went to the people that participated in the RTO. The only other warrants that are outstanding are from the private company, 33.4 million warrants that expired this April at 15 cents. So those will either expire or come in. Those are all from insiders. And then, on the option side, we have issued 3.1 million shares to management and directors.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone, for helping us to kick off a wonderful first town hall forum of the new year. We're at the top of the hour, so we will wrap it up. Trey, before we sign off, do you have a few words that you'd like to say to your shareholders and audience members who have signed on today? And you got a really nice crowd. We had over 60 people in the room today, so I'm really happy with the turnout. Trey?
Yeah, first, let me apologize for my technical difficulties. I have no idea what was happening here with my internet in Texas, so I apologize for that. Just want to say thanks to everybody for tuning in. We're very excited to see this stock, start trading this week. You can watch for it on Wednesday. This is just to answer the question again. This is a gold play, and we think it might be the most exciting gold play for 2024 as we start to show results from this program. Maura has put together a very focused program here, concentrating on this gold rock camp in the middle there and around the patented claims, where we can get work done without permits while we're applying for permits. And we're just excited with our shareholder base that's involved in this thing, both on the private and public side. I mean, we haven't gone into everybody, but we've just had tremendous response, both as a private company and a public company. And as Maura pointed out, what we've put together here is the consolidation of a land package, which has never been done before. And we really feel that's the main reason that the Dryden district hasn't got kind of exploration and historic mining that it should have. And an excellent technical team who understands the geology and has experience in the area. Look for us to have a constant news flow this year, and we hope to be one of the more exciting stocks in 2024.
Thank you, Trey. I can hardly wait to showcase you guys at the event in Quebec City in June this year. I think you guys are going to be in full swing by then. So thanks again, Trey and Maura. And please, everyone, do fill in that quick questionnaire before you sign off. It really helps Dryden communicate more effectively with you for their future events. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Happy New Year, and we'll see you on the next Town Hall Forum. Goodbye.